Hi everybody, thank you for joining me again. If you don't know already, my name is Kia and I'm from Cara Bookkeeping Specialist, and we are continuing on with our financial analysis toolbox series. We've already looked briefly at how to use the sales forecast tool, and today we're looking at how to analyze the sales forecast tool. I believe this is so important for business owners to know how to analyze their own forecast, their own financial data, so that when it comes to looking at investment opportunities and making business decisions, you're able to make your own informed decisions without perhaps having to wait for somebody else, such as an accountant or bookkeeper, to do it for you or provide documents for you, often at a cost. You can do it yourself. So let's get straight to it. Why do we need to analyze our data? There are so many reasons. We're going to go through them really quickly. First thing is, in all aspects of your business plan, such as your product analysis, your growth strategy, etc., you are likely to be using your SMART tools, which means that you've got specific goals, measurable goals, and timely goals. And using the sales forecast is the method of measuring those goals and the outcomes and the targets that you've set for yourself. The sales forecast is very easily used to produce and set budgets for different departments within your business, control spending, reduce waste and inefficiency, set sales volume targets for different purposes, and in long-term and short-term decision-making processes. So it's very important for you as a business owner to have this tool available to make those decisions for your business, making informed, smart decisions for your business. Measurable results for your business plan. Let's look at the first one. Here's the scenario for you. My business plan growth strategy aims to have a monthly revenue of £6,000 in order for me to grow my cleaning business. Now, if I don't have a sales forecast, how am I going to know when I've reached that £6,000 mark? I won't know until the end of that month, when the £6,000 is already in my bank, which means I'm already late in implementing the next stage of my growth strategy. If I did have a sales forecast in place, then I can tell you right now today, I'm not going to meet that goal for the next year, for the next 12 months. I'm not going to meet it, but I can immediately see that in January, I probably will meet it. I can also say to myself that actually I really do want to be making £6,000 within the next 12 months, and I can start taking steps in August, September, in any time to achieve that target. Departmental budgets. Now, this is actually really key. The scenario for this one is, I want to employ the services of an advertising agent for my products and services for my massage business. I'm going to pay them 4 hours per month worth of advertising for each of my products, and I've got 5 products in my business. Now, you might think when you're starting your business, you've got a budget for your advertising and your marketing, and you've got a range of products or services. So you're obviously going to split that equally. That makes sense to do that. You have no reason not to do that. And often you're going to be saying, I predict X and Y levels of success for each product. But actually, this here is part of our short-term analysis of total revenue of the product. So looking at the 12 months income that was generated from the sales of all of my products in the forecast, I can see that 3 of my products did really well and 2 of them did not so well. If I'm looking at focusing my advertising budget, I'm more likely to focus them on the 3 products that did really well and let that investment sit there and capitalize on that. And I'm really less likely to invest in these 2 products that didn't really do so well. On the flip side, you might decide that actually the potential for growth is massive with those 2 products, and you might decide to focus all of your advertising energies into that area. That's down to you as the business owner to make the right decision for your business. But looking at the sales forecast, you can see that it would not be a smart business decision to give all the products the equal advertising budget. Yeah, you would need to look at each of your departments and say, actually, I'm going to give you X amount for this product and X for that product and X for that product, and so on. Control spending and resource allocation. This is another really key, however overlooked element of businesses. The scenario today is, I provide professional dancers and choreography services for events planners, media outlets, institutions and corporations. Which of my services are selling the most? Where should I invest funding? Where should I grow my team? Where should I spend more on advertising? These are the types of questions that you might be asking yourself. This pie chart here is looking at the long-term data. So because I have my sales forecast, I have a data analysis for the next 5 years. Now, one of my services here is this one, which is the one that I am selling I'm providing dancers for corporate events, like when they take their staff on a Christmas trip or whatever, and they have some pretty fire dancers there on the boat. And actually, that product isn't selling very well. Should I invest funding in it? To be honest, I probably wouldn't. Should I invest more staff into providing those services? Absolutely not. I will provide hire more dancers to do the wedding and events services because they're doing massively well. I will provide more dancers and spend more on advertising to media organizations because they're doing really well, and so on and so on. So I'm looking at where to control my spending in areas of weakness and where to provide more resources in areas of strength or where they're needed most. Reduce wastage and inefficiency, quite similar to the earlier one, but I want to look at this with a very common scenario. This happens all the time. I've seen it with my own clients. I sell ready meals from a mobile vehicle. Do I invest in a fridge with a capacity for 500 meals that's on sale, or a fridge with a capacity for 200 meals that's selling at the current recommended retail price? Now, what happens with us when we are consumers is automatically we see something bigger and better with the word sale on it, and we are driven through mentally through advertising and marketing, and what shops do to sell to us is when we see sale and we see something bigger and better, we automatically want it. We want to buy the sale item more than we want to buy the item that's not on sale. That's just a natural thing that happens in our brains. But actually, let's look at what the data tells us. The data is telling me here, I don't need a fridge with a capacity for 500 mils, regardless of what sale it's on, even if I'm saving 50%, it's unnecessary. I only ever need capacity. The most I'm selling is in December, and the total amount of units that I'm selling of different ready meals that I'm selling is about 120 units. I don't need a fridge with 500 capacity. First of all, it's going to cost me more in electricity to run, to keep the fridge running. And secondly, it's likely going to take up space in my small mobile van that I'm selling my food from, which I could use that space more wisely and as a better investment for my business. So I probably won't need a fridge with capacity for 500 mils until 5 years' time, to be honest. Judging by this forecast, it's unnecessary. It's not a needed investment. Setting sales volume targets. So I sell fitness services for children to schools. Do I approach every school in the country for my services, or only schools within a 20-mile radius? So the point of this is I have a marketing team, and I'm telling them, you need to go and sell my services, go and sell, go and sell. They might choose to spend their time writing letters to every single head teacher in the country. They might spend their time picking up the phone to every head teacher in the country. They might spend money on a huge marketing campaign, pay for Facebook adverts that target every school in the country. And to do that is very expensive, as opposed to targeting a small group of people or a small area. Alternatively, they could then put those energies into doing higher return marketing activities to a smaller group of people. Let's look what happens. When I set the sales target and I said, in August, I need you to sell to 30 schools, is there any point in them contacting every school in the country? Absolutely not. Contact the schools within a 20-mile radius, help me meet my targets. If I have the sales target set and actually we only meet 25, then we can put a small number of resources towards getting the next 5. If we go over our budget, we can say, brilliant, that's fantastic. How did that happen? Why did that happen? Did I save money there? Am I able to meet that target's demands and needs, etc., etc.? Short and long-term decision making. Now, in this scenario, I need to scale my business down. Perhaps I don't have enough time anymore. Perhaps I've got something going on at home and, I need to step back from my business a little bit, or my premises is closing down and, I need to move to a smaller premises. I need to scale my business down. Which product should I remove and when? Well, if you don't have any data, how are you going to make an informed decision? But let's take a look at this. I'm looking over a 5-year period. Now, this is my long-term revenue forecast over the next 5 years. And if I'm pre-year 1, so if I'm here, I'm at 0, I don't know which product is going to do well or not well. I might assume that my highest grossing product is the ones that I'm going to keep, and the lowest grossing products are the ones that I'm going to get rid of. But in actual fact, let's take a look. This one here, the yellow one, is one of my lowest grossing products, right? It's actually the second one in my portfolio of products. And if it's year one and I'm looking at this year's figures, I say I'm going to get rid of it because you know what, it's really not doing well. I've got these products, they're doing much better, I'm going to get rid of it. But actually, if we've got a sales forecast that goes over for a long period of time, what can we see? This actually turns into becoming one of my best-selling products over a period of time. I absolutely don't want to get rid of that one. This one, alternatively, although it's doing really well now, it actually ends up not doing so well at all. That might be the one I choose to get rid of, or I might choose to get rid of this one here, which is just pretty steady, but also pretty low. Depends on how much resources I'm investing into each of those two options there. That will inform my decision. But in terms of when, I'm not going to get rid of this one at any point, probably until year 4. When it really starts to decline, and this product here is exceeding it in the revenue. I don't need to get rid of it now. It's bringing money into my business. I'm not going to get rid of this one or this one right now. I might wait till about year 4 or even year 5 before I look to get rid of one of those products. Forecasting for profits. Now, as I told you in the previous video, I only added this gross profit forecast element into the sales forecast analysis tool because it's been requested. It's not common to have it in there. I understand why it's been asked for, but there is really so much more we need to talk about when we're discussing profits. They're very complex. The sales forecast will show you the gross profit. We also have net profit. We have profit after tax. We have bottom line. We have profit margin analysis. There's different elements and types of profits that need to be considered, and some are more common in manufacturing industries as opposed to retail or other online businesses, etc., etc. So you've got different types of profits, and you need to learn how to analyze them in respect of your own business. So we are going to look at profits in a lot more detail later on. It is here if you wanted to know your gross profit figure month on month or by product. The data is there for you, but honestly, there is a lot more to understand about profits that we're going to come to later. So it's there for you. And now we want to understand trends and behaviors in forecasts. So I've shown you all these graphs. I've given you a sales forecast, and I've said to you, really, it's important to use these visual tools to be able to understand our data. But let's see what the visual tools can actually show us. When you do yours will look very different to mine. You might see lines like this. This is called a constant pattern. This will indicate that I am selling a consistent number of units, or I'm bringing in a consistent revenue over a steady period of time. So each month I'm selling 100 units, 100 units, 100 units. If you've got this type of pattern as a result of your data, it could mean that your sales are steady, and that might be good for you. That might mean that you don't need to do any further business growth. You're happy, you're getting enough income coming in from those sales that you really don't need to do anything, and everything's great. You just need to keep it going. It might mean that there's no growth happening for that particular product or service that you're doing, and you want to invest more now into seeing what you can do to improve that situation. But realistically, it's not going to be internal factors that's affecting this constant pattern of your sales or your sales volume. It's going to be external factors that you want to look at. You're going to want to take a look at your SWOT pestle analysis and look at the external opportunities and threats that might negatively or positively impact this continued trend. It will be political, social, economical, environmental factors that might change outside of your business that could cause your sales to completely stop, and that might be a problem for you. Or it could be a factor that comes into play that you're prepared for next year, for example, Brexit. You say, there's an opportunity for me to capitalize on that and really turn this trend into an upwards trend that might be more beneficial for you. So that's what you can do if you see that sort of pattern appearing in your data. This one is a constant line going either up or down. So you might have it going this way, or you might have it going this way. And that is just called, that's a standard consistent trend pattern in your data. Obviously, if we see one like this, which is probably the most common one that you see when you're looking at examples of forecasts, that means that over time, my sales are increasing or my revenue is increasing. You see it going the other way, then it means it's decreasing. So you're going to want to understand, why is it increasing? When is it increasing? How do I capitalize on that? How can I make this trend steeper, more like increasing quicker, or decreasing slower if it was going the other way? But the most important thing to think about when you see this type of trend is your capacity to meet the demand. Okay, so if you're right now operating at a low capacity, and then you see a growth trend happening like this, you're going to want to say, at what point do I need to increase my resources to meet that need? So you're not increasing them now because it's unnecessary, but you might want to increase your resources later to be able to continue to meet the growing need that might continue for the next however long. Okay. Now, the cyclical pattern is probably the most common pattern of behavior you will see if you're selling products or services. This is essentially the lifetime of any product or service. It's the most common depiction of the lifetime of a product or service that you're selling. And that means that we've brought out a new product or service and we just started selling, nothing's really happening. Then we go through a period of growth where people get to know us more and they buy our product. Then we reach our peak of sales. This is our happy place. This is where we sell the most that we're ever going to sell. Then we tend to decline, either because of fluctuations in the market, new technology, competition, and then our product dies and goes in the bin. Now, what does this mean for you? It means that you as a business owner want to make this growth happen quicker and over a shorter period of time. Then you want to try and make sure your plateau, your peak, is as high as it possibly can be and goes for as long as it possibly can. You want to capitalize and maximize the lifetime of that product for as long as you can. And then you want to look at when it starts to drop down, when our sales start to decrease. What are your warning signs of that? Can you predict when that's going to happen? Do you have a month or a year in mind of when that item is going to start selling less? And how can you either reverse that? Do you need to invest more in product development? Do you need to bring out an entirely new range? Are you just going to let it die and then move on to something else? That's entirely up to you, but at least you're aware of it. So for example, if you have to start paying suppliers and you're not going to have the money, you can make the necessary changes to your business model to be able to deal with that. And one of the last types of patterns you're going to see is seasonal. And here we have an example of a stepped pattern and a wave pattern. So the step pattern essentially means that we've got a plateau of sales, then we've got an increase, a plateau again, and another increase, another plateau, and another increase. And if you see this pattern, what you might want to do is look at reducing the plateau movements, reducing the time when sales are constant to bring the increases earlier. To bring the increases up earlier in your time frame. That means you're going to get more sales sooner in your business, which is good. Or you might want to look at capitalizing on the increases and saying, okay, just before that spike happens, I'm going to maximize my advertising and marketing and my customer awareness of my brand to make that spike even bigger, to maximize on it as much as possible. Similarly, with the wave pattern, particularly with seasonal sales, products, services that are being sold, you would want to, like the cyclical one, capitalize on the peaks, reduce the lows, but also you would want to say, can I reduce my costs now, my operating costs, when I start to go down into a dip, because I don't need to be selling as much here, so my operating costs can reduce and then I can bring them back up again here. So you can do a lot of cost management with those types of trends and patterns in your data. If you are selling a combination of products and services, you might see a combination of trends on your forecast. So here we clearly have a stepped pattern, and here this blue one here tends to be a trend pattern. You would want to look at distributing resources fairly if you've got a combination of products and services on your portfolio. You might want to say, when should I make the investment for this product? And then I might make an advertising investment for this one now, and then an equal advertising investment for this one now. So if I've got £20,000 to spend, I might want to spend £20,000 here and then £20,000 later, as opposed to £10,000 here in September and £10,000 here in September on products A and B. There'll be no need to do that. So you'll look at utilizing your resources in the most efficient way. That was a lot to go through. Watch the video back again a couple of times and put yourself and your own business into the scenarios. So go back through your business plan, particularly your growth strategy and the targets that you've set for yourself, and ask yourself the question relating to those targets. How will I achieve the target? When will I achieve the target? What do I need to do? What do I need to be aware of? And put yourself back into each of those scenarios. And once you've got your sales forecast ready, look at your own data and analyze it in the same way. And just do a bit of practice with that to get yourself more familiar with understanding the different trends and what it can mean for you and your business. If you have any questions, if you need any help, please feel free to drop me a message and let me know. Thank you once again for watching the video. I do hope you found it useful. If you did, please let me know. Like, follow, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks.